Hi, welcome to my channel. Thanks for stopping by. Today I'm going to show you how to make this absolutely adorable MacKenzie child inspired rabbit. So let's get started. If you saw my last thrift haul, you saw that I purchased this little white bunny. They had him marked at $1. He was a black dot sale, so I got him half off, so I purchased him for 50 cents at the thrift store. And we're going to turn this little rabbit into a MacKenzie child inspired rabbit. First thing we're going to do is just take off this metal like ribbon that they have around his neck. We're going to take that off. And I've wiped him down already with a wet wipe or a Clorox wipe. And so we're all ready to get them looking good, make them kind of look like they're a courtly check pattern. And my first thought was using the stencil that I got or that I picked up at the thrift store a couple weeks ago, but it didn't work because of all his curves, so I decided to freehand. And this was so much easier. All we did is we started out making a line right down the center of his back, and then we figured out how wide we wanted our checks to be. And then I just drew another line that far apart. And then all I did was make another line going down, and I'm going all the way from the top of his ear straight down. And I'm keeping my lines very evenly spaced apart. That's the biggest key of doing this, and it's incredibly easy once you figure this part out. Just stay about the same space apart all the way down, and just follow the curves of your bunny's body. You can see here, now it doesn't have to be perfect. You don't need to measure it or anything like that. Just keep them about the same distance apart, your lines going vertical, and then make all your lines that are going horizontal, just make sure that they all connect. And that is going to give you a perfect pattern for doing your MacKenzie child look. Now, I did not do the horizontal lines all at once. I do each one separately. I don't try and draw those all the way around the bunny at the same time. Just because with your MacKenzie child, you'll notice that they're all hand painted, and so they're all just slightly a little bit different, each of the checks. And so this gives it that feel. And you can see here how with all the lines drawn going vertically and the lines going horizontally to give it the check pattern, that it just has it very like, which it is hand drawn, but it gives it that look as well. And that's what we're striving for. And when you're going from the bottom, go all the way right to the very top of his ear. And again, just keeping your lines the same distance apart from the bottom all the way to the top. They're about the same distance apart. And then just connecting your dots. Now, you can see here, I didn't even take the tags off from the bottom of our rabbit. I think the original tag said $6.99, and then it went on sale for $3 something. And then when I picked it up at the dollar or at the thrift store, it was $1, but then I got it half off, so I paid 50 cents for this rabbit that originally cost $6.99. So it's a great deal. And he's going to look fabulous once we get him all painted and done here. Now you can see our lines we're just staying that same distance apart, but we're following the curve of his body. And we're going right up, over, and around his head, right up the ear, and right to the edge of the ear. Just like that. And what I would do is I would do it on one side, and then I could just flip it over and do the next side. And just connecting those lines as we go, going sideways. And you can kind of see on the side of him there, when I tried to use that stencil, that was not going to work out at all. The stencil doesn't fit to the curves of his body, and it wasn't keeping it in nice order whatsoever. The stencil kept sliding. You couldn't really tape it down. This is so much easier, trust me, so much easier. And again, you can see how we're just following the lines and the curves of his body. This is going to give us just a perfect pattern as we make our way all the way around his whole entire body. And sorry he gets a little washed out in parts on the video just because he's white, and I'm trying to keep the bright lights on so that you'll be able to see him good. And I didn't realize at the time it would wash him out once in a while. But for the most part, I think you can see what it is I'm doing here. And again, there I'm keeping the same distance. And now we're just going to go right up and around his head. Just like that. And we're just going to meet it with the one from the other side. Just like that. And we're going to just keep the same thing going all the way around his body. And again, we're just connecting those horizontal lines. This looks $1,000,000 when it's all done, and it's just amazing how easy it was to create. And if you have a white bunny, it's the easiest type to do it on. Now this white bunny just had a matte finish to him. If you have a glossy white bunny, I would just paint them a matte finish first, a matte white finish, so that when you're using your pencil on them, it just makes it show up and very easy to use. And now you can see even right here across the top of his head, we're just carrying on with those horizontal lines going right across the top of his head. Now you can see what he's looking like from the back side there, how they're all pretty well evenly spaced and evenly sized. And we carried those right up his ears, not on the inside of his ears, but all the way around the back. And again, we're just following that curve of his body. And as his body is made to look like he is leaning forward and on his front feet, on his haunches more, we're just following that right along with our pencil. And see how we're going right up his neck? We're just continuing the natural lines for him. Now, as we start getting a little closer to the front here, we're going to change it up just a hair, and I'll show you exactly what we do there. Now again, we're taking it right around, keeping our spacing. Now, right here is where I should have stopped. I went up just a little bit, and I may bring that back just a hair, because when we get to the front part of him, we're going to make those lines start going straight up and down to follow that front portion of his body and his front legs. And we're going to go up and around his face, keeping that same distance from our previous line. And if you make a mistake, don't worry, just erase it. This is so easy when it's a matte finish like this. It's very easy to just erase your pencil marks. And that's why we're doing it in pencil first. We're planning it all out, getting it all set, so when we're ready to use our paints, we'll know exactly what we're doing, and it's going to go really quick. And now you can see we're going to follow that front part of his body right in the center. We're going to make our lines about the same width apart as what we've been doing with our other lines. And we're just going to put that right down the center of his chest. And you can see how I just erased a little bit where the line from before, I decided it was a little too far over, so that we can keep these lines on the front of him going nice and straight, up and down. We're just following the lines of his feet all the way right up to over his chest and right to his head. You can see we're doing it on this side as well. And again, I'm just erasing that line just a little bit so we can connect these two. And now, as we're doing these lines on the side, we're just going to take it part way up, and then we're going to bring it back down, following that line on the side. And I'm going to turn this around here in just a second so you can actually get a better view of what I'm talking about. See how we did that? That line closest to my thumb, that's a straight line following up and down. And those other lines, we're just continuing to follow that shape of his body, because as he's hunched over and leaning forward to put his weight on the front feet, those lines are just curving right with his back and going towards his front feet, just like a natural real bunny would be. So we're just following those natural lines that they put on there. Now you'll see that right here, these lines are going to get closer together where we're drawing those horizontal lines in right there on the side. And that too is just natural, just like as if you were drawing lines on your arm and your arm was straight and then you bent your arm. Those lines that were by your elbow would be tighter and closer together. And that's the same thing that's happening to those horizontal lines on the side. So they're just going to be a little bit closer together, but don't let that bother you. We're keeping the same spacing and we're still connecting. That's the biggest thing, is still connect your lines. For all your new horizontal lines that you're doing, you're still connecting it to the lines on the line going up and down before that line. And you'll see what I mean when I show you on the side again. And we're just putting our horizontal lines, keeping them evenly spaced again, going up and down through his chest and down his feet. And again, if you need to erase something, if you made a mistake, just go ahead and do it. Now's the time to do it. You're planning this all out now with your pencil, so you don't have to worry about having a lot of mistakes once we're actually doing the paints. And that is looking really good. We just need to finish up this facial portion of them. And again, we're keeping our spacing the same as we're working our way right along, right around his eyes, around the nose area, under his chin. And we're going to, again, keep on connecting our horizontal lines with the lines that were already there. So we keep that same spacing. And that is looking good. We are almost done with this portion. I think this will be our last line going around. We're doing this right around the edge where his nose would be. Now we need to add a few more of these horizontals, just continuing our same spacing and connecting them to the same line as before on our earlier lines, pulling those down. And we just have this last one to go around, and we will be done with this portion. And there's our bunny. We have him all designed out now with our checks. You can see what he looks like on the sides as well as the front and back here. Now the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to start on our back side here, and we're just going to put a little mark in every other checkbox. This is going to let us know where we're going to be painting black and where we're going to have white. So every other box, put a little mark in that box, and we'll know that that box is going to be painted black. Now make sure that you actually get all your boxes and you're doing it in the right order. I skipped a couple on accident, and when I was painting, I was like, hold it a second, my pattern's messed up here. So I had to do a little bit of tweaking, and you'll probably see that coming up here when we're painting, that all of a sudden I was like, uh-oh, I'm going to have 2 whites or 2 blacks next to each other. And it worked out fine. I kind of just tweaked it a little bit. But so this is actually an important part. I was getting sidetracked a little bit while I was doing mine. And you can see this is going to make your hands all dirty from the lead from your pencil, and your rabbit's going to be getting dirty, but don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. Once it gets all painted, not a big deal. Your rabbit won't be dirty by the time we're all done. And there you can see we have all of our little marks where we're going to be painting them black. Our next step is going to be using the Sharpie. And we are just going to go and we're going to color the squares around each of our boxes where we put a black mark. I'm not using the Sharpie to do like full lines, like the full horizontal line or the full vertical line. I'm trying to do each square individually. Again, just to give it that actual look like each square was really made individually, just how MacKenzie Child's, each of their checks are hand painted. They obviously don't have to do this the way I do, so not all of theirs are perfectly straight lines for each of their checks. You can tell that each one is just a little bit different than the other one, and that's why when I was outlining these squares, I wanted to do each square individually. And here's kind of a close-up just showing. And some of my horizontal lines are a little bit curved. As the body curves, the lines just kind of naturally curved a little bit. And we're almost done with those. We're just finishing up these here on their head. And part of the reason why this is an important step is this really comes in so helpful when we're actually using our paint. We know right exactly how far we can take our black paint to, and that way we're not going to be painting in any of our white areas. We know we can take our black paint right up to that black line and not anything over it. And you can see what that's looking like. It's starting to look fantastic, even just like it is. And now we're ready to start painting. And this paint I got at Walmart. It was for 50 cents. It's Apple Barrel, and it's their black matte paint. Now when I'm painting, what I'm doing is I'm using a very small flat paintbrush. And I'm putting just a little bit of paint on my paintbrush. I'm not super loading it down. And I'm just doing very small strokes, and I go halfway, going one direction, then I just kind of flip my bunny around and fill in the other half of the square going the other direction. And again, this is so easy since we have all of our little marks on each of our squares that need to be black. It's very easy to see right where to paint and how far we can paint. So you can see I'm just kind of going one square, go about halfway, keeping right within my lines. And I'll do a few different squares going that way. And then I'm gonna flip that bunny over and I'll finish filling in those squares going the opposite direction. And here I'm flipping our bunny over. And you can see I just filled in all those squares. And this part actually goes really pretty quick because of the fact we know exactly where we're putting each of our marks. Here you can see I've gone half of the square going the one way. Now I flip the bunny over and I'm just going to finish filling in those squares going this opposite way. And that way I can always see exactly where I'm going. And our bunny, you can definitely start to see that MacKenzie child inspiration coming through with these checks coming through. This is just such a fun pattern and such a fun thing to do. I absolutely love MacKenzie Child's products and their items. If you haven't checked out their website, if you don't know who they are, I highly recommend looking at their stuff. It is absolutely beautiful. They have such great style. It's so whimsical and so fun. And now we're just working on this front part of our bunny. We're going to work him right on down from under his chin, going right down the front of him. And now you can see he's almost done. We just have this one leg in his head to go. But you can see how the checks are, and not all the checks are exactly the same. That's what makes it so neat. They're all about the same size and everything, but as his body is contoured in a little bit different shape in different areas, the checks actually end up moving too. And it just really adds a lot of character to him. The same size, but yet they're just slightly different shapes as his body turns. And we're just getting in his face here. This is the last portion of him. The other thing is this paint dries so quickly that if you do one section going up and down on his body, one line, by the time you're done with that line going up and down, the top portion of that line will be completely dried. And so you don't have to worry about, oh, you have to set them aside for a long time and let this portion dry before you can turn them to do another. It dries so quickly. Now here, I forgot to show you the paint, but I'm using the Apple Barrel white paint, also from Walmart. And now we're just going to go in on the white squares. You can see where I'm pointing here. You can still see some pencil marks there. We're just going in with our white paint and we are going to touch up all of our white squares. And if by chance you got a little wild with any of your black paint anywhere, now's the time to just cover that up with the white. And I'm not going to show you me doing all the white squares because now you know what we're doing with the black. And here it is. It's all done. All the white squares have been done. All the black squares are done. You can see exactly what he's looking like. And now we're just going to get ready and we're going to paint the bow for him. You can see exactly what he's looking like there. He is looking so cute and adorable. Now we're going to use this green acrylic paint. This is Light Olive Green by Master's Touch. And I picked this up I picked this paint up from Amazon. And our bunny had this little aqua metal bow on him when I purchased them. So I'm just going to use that light olive green from Master's Touch paint. And we're going to paint that little bow. If you don't have a bow or something like that on your bunny to paint, then just go ahead and use a green ribbon. That's what I actually intended to do. And we're using the green because that is a very signature thing for MacKenzie Child. She uses these, or they use this light green color quite often on their bunnies. And on their bunnies, they do the inside of the ear with this light green as well. And so that's why we're putting it inside of our ear as well as on the ribbon that's going to go around his neck. And we just want to do nice long strokes in there so that it doesn't show the paint strokes too much. And then we just did 2 coats on his ears and we're going to set that aside. And we're going to do one more quick coat on this little metal ribbon here. Changing this from that aqua color to this nice bright green. But like I said, Walmart also has a really pretty ribbon that's almost this color. And I think the ribbon that's this color is only like 47 cents for a roll of the ribbon. So if you don't have a metal ribbon or a ribbon that's already built right into your bunny, go ahead and just pick up some of that green ribbon from Walmart. And here I'm even showing you some of that ribbon. I just kind of put it down on the table right there and around him so you could see it's the same green color. And now here's our bunny all done. He's looking absolutely adorable. I just put a quick bounty wipe right behind him just so you'd be able to see him a little bit better there. As I just have him sitting on my desk here. I hope you like this video. I hope you've learned something on how to make this pattern. If you did, I'd really appreciate it if you give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the bell so you'll be notified the next time I upload a video. Thanks so much for watching.